Voyager 1 was designed and built by the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. It was built to utilize a rare planetary alignment to explore the outer planets. Filled to its brim with science instruments, it was one of the most advanced and powerful spacecraft of its time. In the unlikely event of an extraterrestrial encounter, after the main mission ends, the probe contains a gold-plated phonograph record which contains music, greetings in 54 languages, sounds of Earth, and 130 images that tell about the origins of mankind. It was also coated with an ultra-pure sample of uranium-238. It took scientific measurements that no other spacecraft has ever taken of the outer planets. Having done its successful primary mission, it was the first spacecraft to reach interstellar space and continues to provide useful data about the region outside the solar system. It was a marvelous feat of engineering that continues to function still today, 44 years later.
We have ignition, we have a liftoff.
Cape Canaveral, Florida on a Titan III-8 Centaur rocket. The launch went almost flawlessly and it lofted the spacecraft into a trajectory towards Jupiter, and from this point, the primary mission went on smoothly and the team then started preparing the spacecraft for the main event, the flyby of Jupiter.
Very smooth flight, very small attitude disturbances.
40 seconds.
Solid motor chamber pressures look very good. Very smooth flight.
Very smooth flight so far, no problems at all.
Vibration levels appear to be very low. Appears to be performing normally. Vehicle response remains very light, very little steering.
Everything looks very good so far, no problem at all.
PVC tank pressures are holding up good.
Go ahead.
The hydrogen vent valve has been opened on time.
Things still going very smooth, no problem at all.
Rocket motors.
Solid shut
Start
off.
system securing center.
Safety 1, this is
We've
VIP
ignited
safety.
the Titan Stage 1.
There's separation.
Chamber pressures look very good.
Lockers and hydrogen tanks have been vented. Looks
Separation is
We have jettisoned the boosters from the Titan.
Hydrogen tank is vented.
T+2 minutes.
With the data from the Pioneer spacecrafts, it was planned as to what moons in the Jovian system it will visit, and the team programmed Voyager 1 to start taking images and scientific observations about Jupiter when it entered the sphere of influence. It found out that the Great Red Spot, the storm which has been raging in Jupiter's atmosphere for more than 350 years, was a lot more turbulent than they thought. It also recorded the sounds of thunder. Voyager 1 also took spectroscopy analysis of the bow shock when it reached the planet, and it also took images of the rings with its infrared camera, and the images revealed that the Jupiter ring system was a lot more extensive than previously thought, and the data provided about the ring system changed the way we thought about the rings of Jupiter. It also did flybys of Lo, Callisto, Ganymede, and took pictures and scientific measurements of the moons, and it even relayed the information back to Earth and left the Jovian system for the next destination, Saturn. After its exploration of Jupiter, it started taking measurements of Saturn and its atmosphere. When it started entering the sphere of influence of Saturn and found interesting discoveries, it discovered storms raging in the atmosphere, which in turn are made of a combination of hydrogen and methane, and it took measurements of the ring system, and the team discovered new sections of the rings when they were analyzing the images and named those sections. It also took images of Saturn's moons, Dio, Rhea, Tethys, Enceladus, Iapetus, Mimas, and the biggest moon of all, Titan. They had the option for a Titan or a Pluto flyby. They chose Titan since they knew that it contained a well-known atmosphere, as from the data from the Pioneer spacecraft. It is groundbreaking as the spacecraft revealed that the atmosphere of Titan was mostly nitrogen like that of the Earth, but it also contains some amount of methane, so the atmosphere may resemble the atmosphere that existed billions of years ago. Evolved after the data transmission and the end of the flyby, Voyager 1 would continue sailing into the deep space, and since the spacecraft entered Titan's gravity influence on a more steep inclination, the probe was lofted into an upward trajectory far from the plane of the solar system. In 1990, after doing the flyby of both Jupiter and Saturn, the engineers decided to turn off the cameras of the spacecraft, to save power produced by the RDG to power other systems, but before that, the team decided on a so-called solar system family portrait as the last set of images the spacecraft would take before the cameras are shut down and the software is removed. One of the famous images of the Earth, dubbed the pale blue dot, was taken for the solar system family portrait. In the image it shows the Earth as a tiny pixel against the darkness of space. In this edited version of the image, a red circle highlights where Earth was situated in the image. Here is a zoomed-in version of the original where you can see Earth more clearly. The final compiled set of images was appreciated by the Voyager 1 team and the public as well, but about 8 years later, Voyager 1 crossed Pioneer 10's distance record, making it by far the farthest spacecraft from Earth. Here is what Ed Stone, director of JPL and Voyager mission scientist, says about the record.
At 70 times further from the Sun than the Earth, Voyager 1 is at the very edge of the solar system. The Sun there is only 1/5000th as bright as it is here at Earth. For 25 years, the Pioneer 10 spacecraft led the way in pressing the frontiers of our realm of exploration. And in a certain sense, what's happening is the baton is being passed from Pioneer 10 to Voyager 1, which now has to take up pressing this frontier, going where no one has been before. The two spacecraft, Voyager 1 and Pioneer, are actually headed almost opposite directions away from the Sun. Pioneer 10 is headed down what's called the tail of the heliosphere, the comet-like shaped region that forms around the Sun, while Voyager 1 is headed toward the nose of the heliosphere.
In 2012, after collecting data about magnetic field in solar particles and solar wind, the spacecraft detected a sudden increase in cosmic radiation and a decrease in solar particles and solar wind. After a debate as to whether the readings are real, it has been confirmed a year later that Voyager 1 has reached interstellar space, an incredible achievement considering that no single object has reached interstellar space before. It was phenomenal as this was a dream. Voyager 1 as of now is in a mission known as the Voyager Interstellar Program, and the instruments are used to measure cosmic radiation and solar particle concentration. Comms equipment and instruments with the RDG until 2025 or early 2030, and after that, in less than 40,000 years, Voyager 1 will pass through within 1.67 light-years of the star Gliese 445.